Okay. I'm recording now. Can you make that sound you just made?
What if all my recordings started with ooh?
Then we would cease to be a podcast.
Okay, show some respect.
I'm not. I didn't say anything. I'm just saying I've seen Shrek 1.
Sorry, I'm
That's
just
all I
easily
said.
triggered when someone talks about Shrek. I just get volatile.
Are you ready to talk about the movie we're here to talk about?
I am ready.
Right? Have you been untriggered?
I'm.
Or are you about to be triggered from a different thing?
I'm working on it. Damn it! I'm full of tacos.
Welcome to the low ceiling.
Hi.
I'm John.
And I'm Pre.
Yeah. What's up?
What's up?
How you doing?
Today, I'm doing really good.
Thanks. I thought you were going to just brush over that and not answer me.
Thanks for asking, John. I am in high spirits. I am full of tacos. Thank you.
Yeah, me too.
And we're going to talk about my second favorite thing after tacos, which is Shrek. Because that's no, I'm just kidding. What are we talking about today?
We're talking about the 2004 film I, Robot.
I, Robot.
Yeah, 2004, directed by Alex Proyas.
Yeah.
Proyas? I don't know. I didn't do any research for this.
No, we're just talking all feelings today.
Yeah, it's all feelings. It's all fun.
We have transported ourselves to Chicago 2035.
2035, Chicago looks... most people usually say, and I think this is the reason they filmed it here in Vancouver, is that, 2004 Vancouver looks like future Chicago. People have always said that. They've always been like, you know what Chicago needs?
Yeah.
It needs the Ovaltine Cafe.
That's it.
Rousted of all of the, unhomed who probably hang out there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just like...
This is a weird movie. It's filmed here, and normally Vancouver is kind of unrecognizable. That's why people film things here. This movie is especially unrecognizable as Vancouver.
100%.
Like,
I did not know until you told
Most of
me.
the environment is CGI. So in a way, this movie was way ahead of its time, considering lots of films today are like that.
The film is almost entirely three colors, right? Black, gray, metallic something.
It's pretty bland on the eye.
Oh.
So like my whole thing, I was thinking about having viewed this film a couple times now, and not to mention I did see it in theaters when I was 14.
Mm-hmm.
This movie, if it was made today,
Yeah.
would have been so much better.
100%.
Just even not, and like nothing, maybe in a different filmmaker's hands. Like I don't know a lot about Alex Proyas, and we're not honestly going to talk much about him because I don't know a lot about him.
Mm-hmm.
But like, I think today we have a better understanding of
Sci-fi?
Yeah, and obviously CGI has advanced so much.
True.
And our thoughts on robotics are more developed because it's a real thing with AI and things like that. And also like this movie really leaves a lot of philosophical meat on the table and doesn't address it whatsoever.
No, because it's super busy doing action scenes.
Yeah, there's lots of like just not very interesting. Those are the worst parts of the film, honestly.
When this came out, this was also the year for, I think, Matrix, wasn't it? 2004?
No. The Matrix 3 came out the year before.
Right. So the Matrices had been out.
The Matri.
Were out there in the world. I think all the Spider-Mans were out there. And so it's not for being less futuristic. This, for some reason, iRobot feels like an 80s cop movie. But it's got some sci-fi in it.
It feels like it takes the premise and just doesn't care about the premise itself.
No.
Like the robots in the film just become obstacles and enemies, and nobody thinks about like so there's, we'll get into the plot in a minute, but like there's this I find it really funny at the end. So all of the NS5s get like turned back into servant robotics.
Yes.
And society just decides they're just like, put these back into their shipping containers essentially. And it's like, well, so it's weird because it's like, so did society just decide that robots are no longer like as helpful as they want? However, it's like, but hasn't society developed alongside robotics? So like, don't a bunch of things just fall apart? They're like, oh, now we have to hire bartenders and shit. Like,
this movie, man, I know it predates the iPhone, right?
Yeah, by like 4 years.
By 4 years. And so obviously, like, by the time the third or fourth iPhones came out, what did you do with the previous ones? Send them to shipping containers. So it's not unlikely that humanity as a whole decided, old robot, go to the dumpster.
What I'm saying is that the robots are so integrated in how society functions. They're not like like a person in 2004, let's say, a person could get by without a cell phone, right?
Yeah.
But like the robots in this film, they're doing menial labor. They're doing service jobs.
Yeah.
They're destructing houses and things like that. Even though there still appears to be like rampant inequality, like the robots do all of these kind of like labor jobs, and the world and the economy seems to run on their free labor. Well, not free, but like they're like,
their time.
People are pretty racist to the robots in this, so like they're free labor, but then at the end they're just kind of like, get out of here, robots. And it's like, wouldn't society just fall apart?
No. I want to say every fifth person is a robot in terms of population alone in this film. Even though we want to make them as, they're part of our growing economy and our growing populace. But then literally Will Smith comes in and he shoves one from the face.
I think I'm exaggerating too, because like they get rid of the NS5s, but I think all the other robots are still there.
The NS5s are the new ones, hey? Yeah.
It's like the most massive recall of a
They're
product.
the Tesla of robots.
It is like Elon Musk recalls every Tesla like a day after they launch.
Yeah, that's exactly what happens.
And honestly, today, if this movie was made, it would just be a bunch of fucking Teslas running people over. And
yeah, dude. True to reality.
Yeah.
It's nice.
Yeah.
Keep it real.
Yeah. Yeah, it would be like Teslas like steering into stuff on the highway while they're automated driving, and because that never really happens these days. Like,
no.
Yeah.
What do you mean? Safety is front of mind at all times.
I think Elon Musk's a brilliant man. God.
Go ahead and delete that immediately. No. Should we get into the plot?
Sorry. I was looking at my notes and I had a note about Teslas and I just wrote down how many Teslas have committed a crime. I just love that that's a serious question I have. How many Teslas have committed a crime? Come on.
Aww.
So I saw this movie in theaters, and I remember, like, I was 14, so I was really primed to really enjoy it.
Yeah.
I didn't really like it. I don't think when it came out, I was not that impressed with it, even though, like, I kind of liked everything I saw in theaters at that time because I wasn't as much of a fucking film nerd idiot.
Yeah. You were pure of heart.
But now I watched it a couple times, and I was like, it's a little bit like From Hell in that, like, I'm like, this isn't a great movie.
Yeah.
But it's not bad. Like, I didn't hate watching it. As I said, the action sequences are so boring.
Yeah.
And the conversations between the characters are so interesting.
And they don't do it enough.
And they don't really do it. That's the thing, like, this movie is a little bit like what Blade Runner or like Blade Runner, the new one and the old one kind of try to be like, because they have very similar themes. But Blade Runner is like a lot more slow and deliberate and trying to be a little more philosophical than this film. Yeah. Do you want to get into...
Let's do it.
Actually, sorry. I want to talk pre-plot here.
Yeah.
Because obviously we haven't mentioned yet that, I mean, this film stars Will Smith, which everyone knows. I thought that would go without saying, but I said it. I said it. Will the Hand Smith.
Get my robot's name out of your fucking mouth. Camera opens.
Oh boy. Oh boy. Yeah. For the listeners' sake, we just did in the timeline of our lives, in the multiversal timeline of our lives, we just recorded the Academy Awards show, which you will have heard a couple weeks ago. And we deleted a bunch of stuff we said about Will Smith's behavior at the Oscars in which he won.
So we're going to add that back in this one.
Yeah, we're just going to cut it back in and talk about his, his
enthusiastic presence.
defense of his Jada. Whoa. So, but talking about Will Smith at this point, really interesting time in his career because he's on a fucking tear.
Goddamn
basically.
right.
So I have it here. He was on a fucking tear. Bad Boys, Independence Day, Men in Black,
banger after banger,
Enemy of the State, spoiler, upcoming, covered on our show. Enemy of the State, great movie, an even better film, Wild Wild West.
It's the robots of the country age. Yes. Oh, perfect.
Can I say something about Wild Wild West? It is awful, and I loved it when I was a kid. I thought it was so great.
You are unhinged.
Oh, man.
Even as a child, I had enough know-how to be like, this movie can't be right.
Still, Kevin Kline is so great in that film. It's ridiculous.
Good God.
And then he does The Legend of Bagger Vance, a movie I saw a really long time ago. Mm-hmm. A movie that really, really seemed to watch at the Green Mile and was like, hey, that had a magical black man, and it got nominated for Academy Awards.
Excellent.
What if Will Smith was a magical black man? Magical black man plus the biggest star in the world equals basically best supporting actor, which I don't think he was nominated for. I think that movie was kind of a huge flop.
Oh, shit.
This was back in 2000, right? Then, or 2000? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was working so much. But then he does Ali. And he does get nominated for an Oscar, and he loses to someone else. But it's weird when you think back. I mean, God, 20 fucking years ago.
Yeah.
More than 20 years ago.
More than that.
And Will Smith is still trying to get his Oscar, which he just got for King Richard. And he's so good in Ali. Have you seen Ali?
No.
He's so good in that movie. And I think people often forget that, he's worked for so long. And it's weird that you're just kind of like, man, he really had a legitimate shot in that film. Mm-hmm. And I think the rest of his career since then has been out of frustration for not winning an Academy Award for that movie.
Oh, shit.
Because that's the beginning of the millennium. And, I have it here. He loses to Denzel Washington in Training Day. Famously a makeup award for Denzel's loss of Malcolm X.
Yeah.
And that's frustrating because Will Smith could have honestly won if the Oscars had their shit together and, done it right.
What do you mean? They've never been problematic at all.
Nope, never. And then after that, seemingly out of frustration, he rips off Men in Black 2 and Bad Boys 2. Bad Boys 2 has to be one of the worst films I've ever seen in my life. Men in Black 2 is not that much better. Hey, can I say something controversial?
Yeah.
Wild Wild West is better than both of those movies.
I will not sit here and take any
Kenneth
slander.
Branagh is a fucking saint. Okay.
Kenneth Branagh.
And then we come to it, iRobot. So he's on a 10 film rip of really generally successful and well-received films in the culture, if not maybe I don't know if Roger Ebert was being 2 thumbs way up for all of them, but and then he's off the heat from there, even though he is nominated for another Academy Award, I believe, for Pursuit of Happiness.
Yeah.
With a Y.
Yep.
And
you said it like you were focusing on a different word there for a second.
No, I always think of it that way when I see the title because it's like HAPPY ness.
Yeah.
And so I think happiness. And it sounds like I'm emphasizing penis, but I'm not. What? You're looking at me like I'm a psycho over here.
I am grown up and don't need to say anything more.
I also want to point out our co-lead in this film, Bridget Moynihan.
Yeah.
Bridget Moynihan is a good actress, has had a respectable career, but she does a 4-film run right here that is right in the wheelhouse of our podcast because we might have to end up covering all of them. And so I'm going to tell you what they are.
Ooh.
The Sum of All Fears.
Oh, shit.
Early entrant on our list.
Excellent.
The Recruit.
Okay, yeah.
A latter-day Colin Farrell and Al Pacino joint I saw in theaters. iRobot.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't believe this wasn't on our list until just recently, because I was like, how I love this movie. Lord of War.
Oh my God, of course.
So good.
Lord of War has to be on our list already, no?
No, it wasn't. I can't believe I overlooked it. Lord of War fucks.
Damn.
If anyone doesn't think that, then you're wrong. That movie's
God, fucking love Lord of War.
excellent.
Yeah.
It's the only movie that I can tolerate Jared Leto in, so that's got to say something for it. Yeah.
For once, he's crucial to the plot.
Yeah.
Bridget Moynihan, I know we'll get into it after as well, but just like so underutilized and just a milquetoast of a character.
She's very misused in this film.
Yeah.
I think she's like, she's kind of miscast.
Yeah.
Especially if you think of her in comparison to Lord of War. In Lord of War, she plays like a supermodel, right? Yeah. And she's really good in that movie. And in this, she's like, and let me introduce you to our head nerd, one of the hottest women in the world. Here she is, Bridget. And she's like, oh, hello. Oh, Will.
Hello, I am robot lady.
She's like, yeah, I just don't think she plays like the bumbly nerd.
No.
Engineer very well.
Like the other robots are more human than she is.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
And she's surrounded by them. Her job is to make the robots seem more human.
Yeah.
And I think along the way, she's like, maybe I am a robot too. And I'm going to wear a chrome colored jacket everywhere I go.
She's kind of like Mark Zuckerberg-esque in that she's just kind of like
that's exactly it.
It's like, maybe the robots can make me more human.
What would she sound like if she was in front of Congress?
You're trying to get me to do my Mark Zuckerberg, but I can't.
I love it so much. I have a question for you, Bridget Moynihan. Bridget Zuckerberg.
I'm laughing to it. I can't do it. I have to do it off the cuff. I have to do it off the cuff alone in my kitchen while I'm doing dishes. So, yeah, sorry.
Congresswoman. Perfect.
Congresswoman, I don't dislike democracy, but if I made an extra $1 billion by subverting it, I wouldn't say no. That's my Mark Zuckerberg.
Beautiful.
Congresswoman.
What are you doing here?
Congresswoman, we weren't aware that in Bangladesh they spoke another language. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. I'm gonna put this on loop for the next 40 minutes, dear listener.
I'm gonna cut that shit out.
No. Keep it going.
Oh my God. Do you have any pre-plot thoughts on iRobot? Do you like this movie? What do you think of it?
Oh my God. When I first saw this movie, I 100% loved it. And this is knowing that it may not be like the books, because obviously when you're a kid, you read these iRobot stories, or at least it was even recommended in school to kind of read a bit of Asimov.
I've never read a single thing by Isaac Asimov.
Asimov's robot series are just this... It's a phenomenal collection of like short stories.
All incredibly influential.
Fantastic. And considering that he wrote in the 40s or 50s, brilliant. Just all the thinking that went into it, none of which you see in the films, aside from the, obvious 3 laws of robotics that every robot must follow. He did solve for outliers in the books. Like, what happens when a 3rd law is broken? Or what happens when there's conflict? But none of that is touched on in the films.
Can I ask a question? So you've read them, right?
Yeah.
So if this movie, as I said earlier, is like it leaves all this philosophical meat on the table in order to like move the plot through action.
Yeah.
I feel like from my impression of the books, my impression of I read some stuff by Asimov, like not anything fully though. I never like finished anything. But I did read a bit of his, like, the original script thing he had written for an iRobot treatment or whatever. But, like, it struck me as very, like, he's more forming a story around the philosophical ideas rather than having philosophical ideas in the story.
Yeah.
Right? That's kind of what his deal is.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it's such a loss because now in my, recent rewatches, there's so many opportunities for this to be just a fantastic film, and almost at every 10-minute round you're just let down. Like, I wish they went another way.
This movie is a really good companion piece to our episode on both From Hell and Stargate.
Yeah.
Because those are both movies where it's kind of like some of the philosophical implications in this. Well, in From Hell, it was from the books, or it was like the failure to adapt those ideas from the book. In Stargate, it's the kind of like soft sci-fi approach where things that are just so insane, for the sake of the plot, you just have to be like, oh man, check it out, these humans are on this planet fucking halfway across the galaxy, you know. But like, and you just kind of have to accept it, the characters in the movie. And this movie is a little bit like that. And it's like I said, like in my second viewing this week, I think there are some like real flashes, and trust me, they're quick flashes of like really good stuff. In the scenes where there's two characters just talking to each other, you know. And I gotta say, Mr. Get my robot's name out your mouth, Will Smith, is quite good in this film. I think he's really well cast for this. And his like portrayal of this character, I think, is actually really well done for what could and turned out to be a bit of like a mindless action film. I think Will Smith was quite good for this.
There is no doubt that he's just as fucking a phenom. Even for 2004, I didn't even know that Ali came before iRobot, because obviously he does such a phenomenal job.
He was hitting threes like this whole, as I said, sorry, in your parlance, he was sticking wickets.
Thank you,
like,
God,
nailing the wickets.
There you go.
Okay, let's finally get into the plot. Jesus, that's what the people come here for. God damn, they don't want to hear us talk about Will Smith.
So, very important right away. Once the camera angles are nice and low to capture the glorious booty of a very young Will Smith.
I mean, you always do this. You always skip ahead, and like you. I have
to get to the meat of it.
I get. Well, yeah, you certainly are. Sorry. Yeah. I mean, when he's that frame of him standing in the shower is sexy.
All of it.
Looks hot.
All of it leading up to it multiple times.
I've got a question about that montage, but you're forgetting that. The opening credit sequence, you know how much I love a dedicated opening credit sequence.
Go on.
It immediately, and I think it's kind of smart. It sets up, it shows the three laws.
Yeah.
And it hints at Will Smith's, the incident that has driven him his entire life, which is
his behavior.
Some water stuff involving a robot. And you're just like, whoa, water stuff. All right. So we see Will Smith. He appears to be drowning. We see a girl. She appears to be drowning. And then a robot rescues him. And then Will wakes up, which is just the tropiest trope of tropes for, a film. He slaps on some Stevie Wonder. And so I have a question about this montage. He's getting ready. He's getting dressed. He's got a slick, cool Chicago apartment.
Yeah.
He works out his robot arm. Why?
Oh, spoiler! Spoiler!
But why does he need to work out the robot arm?
Because we don't know yet that it's the robot arm. And also, it hurts. It's connected to the rest of his body, which is human flesh. But, sorry.
But we do see he has this cool... I do like this, like, the makeup, kind of like this scarring that's, like, too perfect around his shoulder.
Of course.
Above his chest. And it's really cool. And maybe it's like he's working out the muscles that connect to the robot arm. But we don't know he has a robot arm yet. But spoiler alert.
God damn it.
He has a robot arm.
Cut it. Yeah.
And then he throws on his Converse kicks. He heads outside and we're like, man, this guy's cool and he hates robots.
2004.
The fuck is up with this dude?
And can I just say how much I hate that they introduced 2004 All-Star Converse in the first fucking scene, because all disbelief suspension is suspended reversely, if that makes sense. I was fully in belief that I am not in the future anymore.
Will Smith's costume in this fucking movie, it is so... when you see it, like when you see him kind of from the waist up or even from the shoulders up, you're kind of like, he looks like a normal guy. Then when you see him like in full frame and the pants and the shoes, you're just kind of like, what the fuck is this guy wearing? It's so weird, dude. It looks like it looks like someone knitted together a bunch of outcast shit from the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Totally.
Like, it is so bizarre.
This is the driest city. Why do you have a raincoat on? Like, just, you have a
But
car.
it's like, he has those like long baggy
Matrix
leather pants. Like, what's he hiding in those fucking pants? He could hide Jaden Smith inside of his pants. Like, so he heads out into the streets. There's robots everywhere. We're in Chicago 2035, which looks exactly like, I'm sure it will in 2035.
Yeah. A couple years from now.
Yeah, it's kind of like Blade Runner, but sunny. Like,
Yeah.
it is pretty nice out.
Yeah.
Robots everywhere. They're basically slaves. They have no feelings or anything. They just do menial tasks for everyone, and they bake pies and shit.
Yeah.
We meet a young fucking Shia LaBeouf, inexplicably.
Street urchin Shia LaBeouf.
Street urchin Shia LaBeouf, yeah. He's been, he can't get a job at the fast food restaurant because the robots do it now. Which, I mean, honestly, it's actually it was a little ahead of its time in that whole thing where, when technology is evolving rapidly and people are like, this will free up people to pursue the things that make them happy. And it turns out in the real world, it's kind of like, no, we just make up shit for other people to do so that you keep working forever and you never have more free time. Less money, less time.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
Welcome to the future, Chicago.
Maybe someday you'll be able to buy a Tesla and it won't try to kill you or your neighbors.
Maybe for a change. Machines can kill.
If you pay me $8 on Twitter, you could get a Tesla $8 off.
What a little bitch.
Please use Twitter.
Ugh. Oh my God. No, I can't.
It works 70% of the time.
It's just another trigger incoming. Just hearing the word Twitter, I'm just about to start convulsing. Ay.
Guys, if you pay the money, it'll work, I swear. You'll see my jokes.
No.
Someone care.
I can't. I fully cannot.
Yeah, so Shia LaBeouf, we see young Shia. He's a real creep.
Yeah.
And
it's unclear how old he is. Maybe he's a teenager. Maybe he's
I don't
of
know.
legal age.
This is pre-Transformers, hey?
Yeah. Not sure.
Yeah,
definitely
2007.
around.
Yeah.
Definitely around it. Yeah.
Yeah, so he hasn't been in his greatest accomplishment yet, besides Nymphomaniac.
That's right.
Yeah.
Oh God. Ooh.
Have you seen Nymphomaniac?
Yeah, but
You would remember it's 5 hours long.
no, I think I saw Antichrist and the other one, and not Nymphomania.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a good movie. Good 2 movies.
Is it about religion? No, I'm just kidding. Sweet. A sweet family story. Anyway, our boy.
Yeah, so Will, like, this is like not the first part, but like Will is good. Like you see him even with Shia.
For
you're
sure.
just kind of like he's good in this role.
And you want to see more of him, right? And in the scenes where Will Smith is not there, I'm just like, oh, I hope he shows up and acts like a little bitch again. So where you first kind of see this? So from Shia, he goes to his grandma's house. Yeah.
And just his kind of interaction with his grandmother is really, really good.
Very sweet.
And she's great too.
Yeah.
But she makes him a pie, and he, it's a sweet little grandma scene.
It's very nice.
Then he leaves on his way to work. He eats sweet potato pie for breakfast. I don't know. Like, he goes to the police station. He chases a robot.
Oh, speaking of chases a robot. The scene leading up to him chasing the robot, of course he's holding his grandma's pie.
Yeah, he's walking along the streets holding the pie. Yeah. And then
just an exposed pie. No cover, no nothing.
I mean, the guy,
and he's eating it as he's walking,
The guy's living the dream. However, if I remember correctly, something that I find, like, there's some weird things that gross you out a little bit.
Yeah.
So Will Smith, I swear, is just scooping out the insides of the pie.
Yeah.
But surely 50% of the deliciousness of a pie is the crust. It was
the most unhinged, like, middle of the pizza thing where you just eat the center bit and leave. What?
Yeah, and it's like pies are so good because of the texture of the crust and the middle. But he's just scooping it out, and I'm just like, you're just eating like sweetened sweet potato mash.
Yeah, it's because they're trying
out
to
of
show
a bowl
him
made of bread, like out of like flaky crust. Ugh.
Yeah, he it's the youthfulness of it, right? I got my Converse 2004s and I'm at my grandma's and now I'm gonna eat cake like a little child.
And then he gives, I bet he gives it to a man and he's like, hold my pie, hold it or wear it, sir. Yeah. And then I bet the man looked at it and was like, can I have the crust? It's like, I want to eat the crust.
Man looked at it, judged him immediately. What the fuck? Yeah. This is some... It looks like he fucked.
He's like, young man, you don't deserve this pie.
Yeah. Also, just like now that he's gone, set it on the floor. Why are you holding a pie? Anyway, it was great. Yeah. So as
he chases a robot he suspects of snatching a purse, and the robot of course wasn't, because robots are perfect and they can't commit crimes. He hates robots. They can't commit crimes, but he doesn't trust them. We don't know why. It has to do with his robot arm. We'll get to it. He heads to his job where he's a police detective.
Yep.
He doesn't have a uniform, apparently. He wears whatever the fuck he wants.
His uniform is cool jacket.
He's basically like, he's an outcast in his department. He's a bit of a hothead.
Yeah.
His chief is the precursor to Ice Cube in 21 Jump Street and just a fantastic actor.
That
just
guy has
tired.
The best head.
Oh God, yeah.
My God.
Tired black captain.
Yeah.
Angry
black captain.
Angry black captain.
Yeah,
I'm black. Sometimes I get angry. Yeah. So he gets a call from his buddy James Cromwell, one of my favorite character actors I've ever to live and then die in this film.
Yeah.
Basically, he gets a call that he's committed suicide.
Right.
And he goes to USR, US Robotics, the most wealthy company run by the wealthiest man on earth, played by Bruce Greenwood. James Cromwell has apparently committed suicide. He's jumped from this window. He's lying dead in this plaza. Yeah. And I actually really like that scene because he approaches him and he sees James Cromwell, and there's something weird about James Cromwell, and it turns out it's like this program thing. It's really cool. I like that idea a lot.
The idea is that a hologram shows up of...
I'm
not going to say this actor's name the entire time, so I'm just going to call him Dr. Steve Jobs, because James Cromwell essentially is the guy who created robotics in this film.
He's the pioneer of
USR, and now he's dead, apparent suicide, and his hologram appears to talk to Will Smith's character. One of the most frustrating interactions between a human and a hologram. So every time Will Smith's character asks him a question, the hologram says, I have a limited set of responses. So obviously it's not prepared to answer that question. And then finally, Will Smith asks him the right question, to which the hologram says, yeah, good question. And then it shuts down.
Yeah.
What?
It is a little like when Siri first launched. Hey Siri, what's the weather like? Weather.
Yeah. Shut the fuck up.
It is like...
Yeah.
Yeah. But Cromwell, he's great at delivering the kind of hologram thing.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's such a lovely little performance, because you know what's interesting about his performance? You never see him actually alive.
No.
You see him either as a hologram or on the television.
Yeah.
And that's it. And I think that's like, wouldn't that kind of be fun to be an actor and be like, this is like the role, and you'd be like, oh, I get to just kind of, I don't know, maybe not. I don't think like Tom Cruise would take that role, but like, James Cromwell, he's a fucking professional.
What a pimp.
Yeah, fuck you, Tom.
Shows up for maybe 5 to 7 minutes in the entire film and crushes it.
Solid.
It's great.
Yeah. So from here, he kind of like goes in US Robotics and he does a lot of detecting. Basically, he meets Bruce Greenwood, and there's like that. I like that conversation. I think it's really good because like, when Will first meets him, he like looks up at him in awe, kind of be like, oh, the richest man in the world.
Yeah.
But Will, you find out he's kind of like holding back because he hates robots. And then he pitches him the commercial idea, and it's like clear that they don't see eye to eye at all. But Will, he does like a good job of just kind of like being a little deceptive, but in a friendly way. Puts like eight things of fucking sugar in his tiny little
he's
coffee.
He's definitely very condescending towards the guy, the robot guy. What's his name?
Bruce Greenwood.
Bruce Greenwood. Thank you. And then, of course, in that polite conversation that is supposedly meant to be him doing detective work,
I think he's trying to like disarm him by being like pretending he's like really in awe of him. you know.
Oh, I didn't get that at all.
That's kind of what I thought.
I just thought he was being outwardly a dick and being like, you know what, I'm gonna come after you, but first 8 spoons of sugar go into my coffee.
Liner is like, is there anything I can help you with? Sugar?
Yeah, that's why he's got to work out his robot arm, because it's all fucking lodged up there. Probably it's just made of crystals.
I always have this weird impression that Bruce Greenwood is like a dick in real life. And I don't know why. Like I don't know where I got this impression from.
Does he play a bad guy in most things?
He does. Like he's really good at it. He's really good at playing like a evil. In this, he's a little Bezos-ish or Jobsian kind of like in like this mean corporate environment kind of way.
This cold building. That's
I've always just
been
glass. Is Bruce Greenwood like not nice in real life? But I don't know. I doubt it. Like he probably is.
Yeah.
Bruce, if you're listening, can you tell me?
Are you a dick?
Are you a nice guy or not? Just I want to hear it from the horse's mouth.
We immediately after the scene is when he meets Bridget Moynihan's character.
Yeah,
Calvin.
He meets. She's like the head of the robotics engineering or whatever.
Right.
Calvin. Yeah.
This is around the scene when he's trying to investigate up on the 10th floor why this incredible glass is shattered.
Yeah, and importantly, I kind of this sequence I don't love. It's a little like hand-holdy and kind of expository. Yeah. Importantly, we meet Vicky, the head brain of all robotics, essentially.
The chat GPT of its time.
Yeah, the chat GPT of U.S. robotics. Excuse me, Jesus Christ. Vicky's like Cortana from Halo a little bit. She's like a anthropomorphized artificial intelligence, essentially. Really, like it doesn't start to pick up until they meet Sonny, and then Sonny escapes. They meet Sonny for the first time, and he runs away, essentially. And
the way they meet Sonny too is just so funny to me. So Sonny is this less robotic robot. I don't even know how to.
Well, there's something to him. We don't know yet.
There's something to him. He's a little bit different. And
they find out because Calvin tells him to shut down, and he fakes it.
That's right. That's right. So he jumps out of hiding when Will Smith's trying to find that, oh, maybe the killer is still in this room, and we got to go look for him. And Sonny jumps out of this pile of garbage robot arms and knocks out Will Smith's gun that he's holding.
Yeah, he takes his gun. Yeah.
Will Smith, like, he's this super detective who's always paranoid, but the grip on his gun is just, looser than my grip on reality. He just goes flying into the air. My guy, your whole job is to hold your gun.
The robots are really strong, though.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fair. So anyway, he beats the shit out of Will Smith and
lawyered.
God damn it. Had it again. And he flees the scene of crime.
Yeah, and then they go to like a warehouse full of robots and they find him.
That's right.
This is like an action sequence I just don't care for.
It's just so much.
It's so bland. Yeah. But it leads into my favorite scene in the film, which is the interrogation scene.
Yeah.
Which is like has the philosophical ideas kind of in it.
That's right.
And like Sonny asks about the winking, and then he talks about dreams. I think he says that he has dreams and memories and feels emotions.
That's right.
And Will Smith is like, nah, bro, you're a can opener. Fuck you. And then Sonny is like, no, I'm not. And then Will Smith is like, hey, fuck you, you're a robot, I hate you. No, you can tell Will Smith kind of is convinced. He's slightly starting to feel like there's something more to him.
Because this is like the weirdest interaction he's had with a robot.
Yeah.
For a robot to ask things like, what am I? I have dreams. I did not murder Dr. Jobs.
And feel anger.
And I feel anger because he obviously, upon being repeatedly interrogated, smashes his robot arms into the desk. Yeah, right.
Accused, yeah.
There you go.
And then Big Bad Bruce shows back up and says, I mean, this is just a perfect example of the corporate grip on society. It just shows up and he's like, we're taking our robot. You can't say anything about it. Fuck you.
That's right.
We're going to decommission him, essentially.
And robots can't commit murders because robots are machines. Yeah. That's like saying a toaster killed you when you were trying to bathe with it. Oh. That's on you, dog.
I don't remember that line.
That's it's in the book. I'm just kidding. But yeah, they take Sonny away away from Will Smith and to get decommissioned, and Will Smith is determined to find out more.
Yeah, Will Smith starts to think that there's something more, and so he goes to James Cromwell's house, and he says the best line in the film where he meets the cat, and he says, "You're a cat. I'm black. I don't want to be hurt again," which I could never say to a cat. Yeah, you don't remember that
at all? No.
Yeah, he meets the cat, and he's like, "Listen, this relationship will never work. You're a cat. I'm black. I don't want to be hurt again." And
what does that mean?
I don't know. It sounds like I think he fucking riffed that one. And then he ends up taking the cat.
Yeah.
But
that means he's vulnerable and open to being hurt through love.
Yeah, he's a cat guy.
I see.
He basically finds more about James Cromwell being surveilled at his home and stuff, and then he's attacked by a demolition bot. And basically like Will Smith, from this point on, he's like just being gaslit because he's constantly attacked by robots, and people are like, "That's impossible." And then so he's attacked, and then there's a classic detective, you're a hothead, you're off the case scene. Yep. Obviously, you can't
gun
have
and
it without
badge.
It. And then Calvin starts to come around to Will after they have a conversation.
Right.
And she goes to find him at his home, and that's when we find out he has the robot arm, which is super cool. It tells a story about the robot. The robot saved him from an accident when the robot could have saved a young girl. And that's why Will is resentful towards robots.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Because he thinks that their logic is going to be the downfall.
Their excessive logic is fallible,
right,
because the robot was like, "You have a higher chance of survival, so I'll save you." Which it's a little bit like trolley problem-esque, like one of those philosophical thought processes, thought games, and those are all they always bring up fallibility in some way, and that's what he's upset about essentially, and it caused the death of this young girl.
Of course. Yeah, right.
Which it can be traumatizing for anybody. So then Calvin and Will Smith, they break back into USR. Sonny was not decommissioned. Calvin didn't do it.
Yeah.
And then another one of my favorite scenes, they talk to Sonny and he tells him about his dream, and he's drawing with both hands super rapidly. Yeah. That is such a cool idea.
Because Sonny is basically the Jesus of NS5s, right? He's just created by God, Steve Jobs himself, to be different from these other robots for whatever reason that we're going to find out later.
Yeah.
And then once he's done the two-hand drawing, which looks like...
What's the drawing of?
It's a drawing of a broken down bridge over sand dunes where one man is overlooking a sea of robots.
A figure is overlooking a sea of robots, and they're all looking back up at him. Yeah. There's a scene, God, I can't believe how much of this movie has just like left my mind. But the scene where Sonny is going to die, and then Bridget Moynihan swaps him out for another robot. There's like this voiceover by James Cromwell, that's really, really interesting.
Right, the hologram appears again.
No. Oh. It's like a voiceover of that interview on television that he appears in.
Right.
And it's really, really good. But anyway.
It's them talking about there's going to be a world where robots can dream, where robots will have secrets.
Yeah.
And that is the world.
The ghost in the machine.
The ghost in the machine.
So Will Smith heads out to find this vision, and it turns out he kind of fulfills the dream by being the one who stands up on this thing and finds this dry lake bed under a bridge.
Yeah.
Full of old robots that are being decommissioned by the new ones, being fucking killed and murdered. And then, this is where the movie starts to not grip me.
It's just nonstop action for
really
45
lose
minutes.
Me. Essentially, like the NS5s are like released onto the market like an iPhone, and they just arrive and replace the old robots, and then they turn on humanity, and then
immediately
Will Smith and Bridget Moynihan fight their way back into USR to confront Bruce Greenwood, and it turns out Bruce Greenwood is dead. And
dun,
then
dun, dun.
Will discovers that Vicky's the real criminal.
My God.
And Vicky is doing that thing that lots of people talk about with like AI, where it's like, how do you save humanity? Well, humanity is humanity's greatest threat, and so kill a certain amount of humanity to get him. So, that's basically Vicky's plan. Is like, you have to kill some of humanity in order to save most of humanity.
Right.
Right.
So Vicky is like this,
which I don't get,
utilitarian
like humanity,
philosopher who wants to.
Yeah, humanity's never done anything to like harm itself. Like,
I don't understand. Where is she getting this from?
Yeah, it's weird. It's not like we, kill the planet and then pretend we're not killing the planet to make more money or something like that. Or,
this is why you let the Teslas drive themselves.
Yeah, we don't allow a social network to flourish and like turn a blind eye to genocide and then kind of just think like, yeah, but I made billions of dollars from doing that. Like, we don't do that.
We would never do that.
That would be the work of a psychopath.
Coming back to our Scooby Gang. Bridget and Will and Sonny the robot find a way to deactivate Vicky, which is by injecting
and stabbing her in the head.
Nanites in her that would make her go cuckoo. And, scientific terms. And then that turns into a 40-minute fight scene, of course, again.
The lead up is like a 40-minute fight scene.
Yeah.
And then from there, we find out that Sonny did kill James Cromwell.
That's right. And
because
why?
James Cromwell programmed him to do it, right?
That's right. So
I know the first law. Explain it to me.
I got you. So the 3 laws, the first one is that a robot cannot harm a human being, right? The second law is that it must protect other humans from harming themselves, something along those lines. And then the third law is that it must also look after its own robotic well-being as long as it doesn't clash with laws 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. First one, do not harm a being. How then does the robot end up killing Dr. Jobs? Because Sonny is given this ability to be, for lack of a better word, sentient to a degree.
It's like a higher level of sentience.
Yeah. And then to start to like trigger this series of events, Dr. Cromwell puts this action into this one robot where it allows him to harm a human being.
Yeah. And Sonny's like slightly better than the other robots so that he could fulfill the task of killing Vicky if needed to.
That's right.
But Will Smith ends up having to do it.
And then there's a cool moment there when Sonny and Will Smith have a human connection where, Sonny winks at him.
Well, he winks at him earlier when he pretends he's going to kill Dr. Calvin.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, and then Will is basically like, well, robots can't break the law, so you're free to go kill whoever you like.
Get him, Tesla. I mean, Sonny. And it's great. And it's sweet, and then they kiss. No, they don't.
That's a deleted scene of... There's like James Cromwell's hologram is in between them, and then Will and Sonny's lips meet at James Cromwell's lips.
That kiss is the right question. And then he disappears without answering it again. The number of times that fucking hologram appears is as useful. No, as useless as he was as a person.
How many times does it appear? Because I know twice. That's you're acting like it appears in every scene. It appears twice, bro.
And both times it fails to answer the questions.
But I think that it's a safeguard so that only Will's character can get the answers. Mm-hmm. Only Will's character can draw the conclusions.
Follow the breadcrumbs.
Whereas other characters can't follow what he's saying, basically.
Right.
Yeah.
Because of the personal relationship that Will Smith and the Dr. Jobs.
It's a shame that, honestly, like this movie should have started like a week earlier. Mm-hmm. In the time of the movie where you see Will and James Cromwell being friends. A little.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I know that they have a relationship because he built his robot arm, mm-hmm. but it is kind of like, I mean, Will Smith, the most chemistry anyone has in the film is Will Smith with this fucking hologram. So,
yeah.
So it would have been nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I do like the ending where Sonny goes off and he fulfills the dream as well.
That's right.
That he sees when he sleeps, he fulfills his dream by. Mm-hmm. But why? I don't really understand what the purpose of the ending is, although it's a cool idea.
I think that the idea is that the robots are able to be more than just these slave machines, and Sunny, as this unique prototype, is able to spread that to them, share that new way of thinking or acting or whatever, while also preserving the interests of humanity.
Yeah, I guess so.
But in a good way, because humans never could. For Sunny, who is Jesus.
He's like, you guys can all come and make sweet potato pie, but you'll like doing it.
Yeah. And you'll eat it in a normal way.
Instead of not knowing that this is an enjoyable activity, you'll be like, I love making your sweet potato pie, Grandma. Tell your fucking grandson to eat it correctly, or I'm gonna lose
Teach
my
your boy
shit,
to do better,
or else I'm gonna pull a Vicky on the human race.
Oh no! Don't Vicky him. There is. I know there's. Sunny is a little bitch. Okay, I know he's meant to be this like
shots fired,
smart robot that thinks and is kind and sweet. But you know, when you think back to that interrogation scene where Will Smith is asking him, like, you're just a can opener, you're an idiot, you can't have dreams. Like, can a robot write a symphony? And then Sunny says, can you? Got him.
Good line. Yeah.
Good line. I just want to.
Yeah, that was a funny line.
I think in that moment I was like, all right, I think I'm going to be on the robot side.
And Will Smith is like, I'm actually a fucking gold record rap star. So.
You're kind of man.
Yeah, he's like, have you heard Men in Black? You fucking
bitch.
tool.
Get his ass. Will Smith don't cuss, but he will beat
bitch
the
don't
shit
know
out of Chris Rock.
that Wild Wild West was a fucking hit. I'm a triple threat.
No. Oh God. Yeah. I despite our detailed take on this film, the plots of this film, I'm ready to do my top 5.
What can we wait on that for 1 second?
Yeah. Hit me.
Like, what do you think this is like representative of a future that humanity is heading towards? Since the movie refuses to really engage with lots of the philosophical concepts, why don't we talk about that? Like, do you think this is kind of like, because I don't think it'll be like we'll have robots that are that sentient, who are that capable, but we'll definitely have like a robot that will follow us around and be like, oh, I have your purse here, you know.
We have that already.
Yeah, like we have that.
There's like restaurants in Japan where robots serve food and things like that, where it's I don't know about mass consumer, like every single person having their own robot would ever be a reality. Not until I'm dead, I don't think, because I'm not going to do it. Guys, I'm busy. I have a job. So no, I don't think for a very, very, very long time that we are able to have. He wrote this in 1950 thinking that in 2035 we would have these robots.
But like, okay, but so I was listening to a podcast yesterday, like one of the tech podcasts I listened to, and they were talking about how like with AI image generation and stuff, you could kind of on social networks and things like that, you could see your feed, say TikTok, for example, you'd see your feed kind of like filled with fake AI generated people doing the shit you were like, oh, I like watching this person fucking blow a snot bubble and pop it. Yeah. And then it'll be like, do you want to see more? And it could create like fake people. And it's like, is that the life we want to live? It's so weird, you know? And is that like if you go to a bar, do you want to be served by someone like
synthetic beings,
just a thing,
like just,
you know?
I don't think it's going to be all that different. If you seek what it is to have human connection, you will always have that. It's not like all of people are going to die out.
But that's not true though. That's clearly not true with the way the world is now. Lots of people have retreated away from human connection because they can just live through their phone.
Yeah, by choice, right? It's not like they're forced to do it.
It's not purely by choice. It's also dictated by the like heavily addictive nature of technology.
Fair, okay.
You know, it's not. I'm not saying people don't have their own responsibility, but it's like a large part of it too is that people get addicted to this sort of thing. You know, it's like the whole conversation around people replacing real, true intimacy with pornography or something like that, right?
Yeah.
And people. Clearly, like younger people younger than us maybe, but also lots of people our age too, replacing true human connection with just like connections that are mediated by this virtual space, which could be Facebook, Instagram, it could be TikTok, you know what I mean, right? And that's not, people are like nudged in those directions, but eventually it becomes their reality.
Yeah.
It's not just by choice. Like lots of people don't realize it's happening until it's too late. And even if they know it's happening, it's not like they're like, oh, I should just totally change the way I behave. They don't do that, right? And I think with like the robot thing is like, people could be like, oh, it's so convenient for a minute. And then all of a sudden, you know, like lots of people aren't able to find jobs that can even pay them minimum wage,
right?
Because they're being replaced by these robots, which like, I'm not someone who's the person who's like, oh, robots are going to replace factory jobs and stuff like that.
Because they already did.
Society has shown that like, as those advancements happen, the pace of humans' quality of life does not keep pace because they don't, like, people don't care to have those connected.
Yeah.
Right? You know what I mean? Like, technology is supposed to make people more productive.
For sure.
And allow people more time and freedom to do the things they love. That's not happening. We live in this capitalist fucking hellscape where it's this kind of like, you still work more than ever. You get paid less than ever.
Yeah.
Even though you have the tools to complete jobs that in 1995 would have taken 2 hours and now they take 2 minutes.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Anyway, that's what I'm saying. And on top of that, some social networks are just cool with genocide. I'm not going to name them, but some of them are like, you know what? If it makes me another billion, I don't care.
Yeah. Oh, no, I'm sad. Oh.
But like, do you think something like robotics will become that, you know? And we see it already, like autonomous driving has been a thing promised for a long time, but obviously with Tesla's fucking steering wheels falling off,
sure,
it's not as like here as Elon Musk would have you believe.
But it's as close to a robot companion that you would get.
That we're at now, like that and AI.
Yes.
Yeah.
I personally am ready for it to wipe me the fuck out, so let's expedite this shit. No, I don't know. I mean, I'm coming from a place of like extreme privilege and comfort and like all the goodness that life could afford me. That I'm in a position to not be threatened by a robot uprising or whatever the fuck, right? Like, but of course, like you said, factory jobs that are just going to get eliminated. Humans tend to not sympathize with other humans once they become a statistic. Like if a few lives are at stake, we might push to do better. But if like hundreds of thousands are at stake,
well,
so what?
I also think that like if an item or a thing or an experience is invented to make life easier for the incredibly wealthy and privileged,
right?
That will move forward without giving a shit about the 100%. Less privileged and wealthy and capable.
Yeah.
You know,
we've been alive for thousands of years, and still modern developed economies don't have healthcare. So why the fuck would they start to give a shit now?
Yeah, like it's still geared towards like the top of the pyramid. Basically, 100%. It's always like that. Yeah, it's depressing. This movie makes me want to die.
Yeah, thanks, Asimov, you bitch ass.
No, it's interesting looking at this movie because we're so much, obviously, like it sounds dumb to say this, but like we are so much closer to that reality than we were in 2004.
Yeah.
In 2004, it did feel like such a fantasy. But like you think of in this world, in the world of iRobot, there's like fucking robots typing out shit in a pool of people who need stuff typed out. Yeah. And it's like, well, they were wrong in the fact that you needed a physical thing with fingers to touch a keyboard because you can just have it in your computer, which is what ChatGPT is basically. Right. Is kind of like, write me a fucking cover letter. Yeah. And ChatGPT would be like, I can't do it.
No problem, dog.
Yeah, but you know, like things like that. And it's like the iRobot imagination is like, this is the most expensive way you go about it, because in reality you could just do it virtually in some way.
For sure.
So many things can just be replaced with like virtual whatever. It's a really weird I think like the robotics in this sense are kind of like partially they have to be driven by some sort of AI, but like the AI that we're looking at is actually probably like more useful, more capable, and a little scarier.
Yeah.
But yeah,
they're gonna, I think, to subvert that scariness, they're gonna do it in virtual ways where there is no uncanny valley-ness to it, like it is with looking at a weird robot face that might in real life make you
like
nervous.
I do think that like, because I know I've heard of like you can go, I mean it doesn't happen a lot in Canada or whatever, but like you can go to a bar. You can imagine going to a bar and sitting at a bar and being like on an iPad hitting like pale ale, and then it just like shoots into a cup and then just like comes to you on a fucking turnstile or whatever, and it's just there and there's no people involved, and like the TV is programmed automatically to watch cricket or whatever, and that's like a pretty normal thing to think about, you know. It's just like in this movie all of that is like a humanoid robot
that's
doing all of that stuff,
which
would be useful in certain ways, but I think like in reality they would be, it's not like everything's like, because like a human isn't the most useful thing. Like the Destructoid robot in this film is like, that's way better at destructing things than 10 robots with hammers or whatever. I don't know what I'm saying, but
no, I get what you mean. What do you think would be like the last job to die because robots have taken over? Like what do you think would be the last living form of work?
I mean,
people always just say arts, but like,
but it's like I don't think of that as like a job, right? Like because people don't get paid for it. but also
shout out to my fellow painters.
The thing I've always thought about like the arts and like the AI moment we're in is that like there will be some very dark time in the future where a studio will be like, this movie was written entirely by an AI and touched up by a human. Yeah. And then it'll come out and people will be like, man, the Gray Man fucking sucked. And and the studio will be like, yeah, but you know what? It made a lot of money and they'll keep doing it. That's again, it's always what happens. Like with it's the capitalist dream is like, I don't give a fuck how it's made. If it made the right person money. Yeah. And you know what I mean?
I think even now that we're talking about it, about the making money aspect of it, the biggest threat for companies today from ChatGPT and all of those things, which came into the picture super fucking recent, like 7 years ago they started building on this thing, and bam, now we have OpenAI. So it's not going to be, this robot can do this job so incredibly that it's going to replace a human. It's going to be, this robot can do this mediocre job that is cheaper. 100%. And that's the threat. It's not that people are going to be irrelevant. It's that people will take longer to do it and charge more, but this robot won't. And robots are going to be the Bangladesh of the future.
I mean, like that is, if like certain social networks don't wipe out those countries with their inaction towards people organizing genocide on their platforms. But like, I think like, if I had to say, like, answering your question, like maybe like a pilot, like an airline pilot, just because people I don't think would trust that. Yeah.
Even though airplanes are fully...
Even lots of it is like very automated already, but like I just don't think people would trust it, which is funny because like statistically, everyone says this, even I'm a nervous flyer sometimes, and like statistically planes are safer than cars, but people are like autonomous driving is going to be great, and it's like but like you still would probably be more likely to get smashed by some dickhead driver.
It's so funny that you brought this up about the autonomous driving versus wanting a human pilot. It's because in iRobot there's a scene where Will Smith and Bridget are sitting in a car, and Will Smith turns the car from automatic to manual, and she fully freaks out. Like, why are you taking control in this tunnel where other cars are probably also on automatic? They're sensing the movement of other cars and automatically adjusting their route. So if there is human intervention in the middle of it, where there's a lot of unpredictability, it makes sense to be afraid of tinkering with something that is automated for the benefit of all.
Yeah, I think that like I don't know a lot about autonomous driving, but my impression of it is like it would work best if everyone was driving autonomously. But because there are it's a much different makeup because there's lots of people who will never, again, to like a Tesla, like people just can't fucking afford to get a Tesla.
Of course.
And lots of people are like, yeah, but I need my truck to carry my tools.
Yeah.
And, for 5 minutes a day. But like, you know what I mean, right? And
yeah.
I don't know. Okay, enough fucking prognosticating about the fucking present and how stupid it is.
God. Take me out.
Yeah. Geez.
Right now.
2023 is the worst. If you're listening to this in the future, it was better back
in
before this.
I know.
If you were born after 2023 and you're hearing this, it was better like 10. It was better when iRobot came out. Everything was better.
Objectively.
You're still basking in the glow of Wild Wild West.
Oh my God, Christina Aguilera in her prime.
Yeah.
All the hip hop bangers were just such a good year.
Dirty is on the charts.
My
with 2
God.
R's. All right, top 5. Go.
Top 5. Okay, so this top 5 is special. This top 5.
Excuse me. They're all special.
This top 5 is special for robots, is what I meant to say.
All right.
So,
hit me.
Top 5 cop movies that would be vastly improved if the lead cop had a robotic arm. Okay. Number 5. Paul Blart Mall Cop. Paul Blart.
Paul Blart
has a robotic arm.
Paul Blart robot arm.
Yeah, Paul Blart robot arm.
Yeah.
Automatically. I mean, Forever 21, don't even worry about it. Forever. It's going to be totally safe.
I've never seen that movie. Is it good?
It's no iRobot, I'll give you that. But it's good for mall culture. And I'm happy
would you
it
say
exists.
it's the best mall cop film out there?
It's definitely better than Paul Blart Mall Cop 2.
Okay, fair enough, yeah.
So of the two...
The original's always better, though.
All right, always.
Go on. Number 4.
Number 4, Sicario.
They're not cops.
She's a detective.
She's in the FBI.
Yeah, she's doing the policing. Shush.
Okay.
Emily Blunt, but her arm is a robot. Next. Number 3, The Departed. You smell a rat? Wrong. It's metallic robot arm.
You smell my arm?
Yeah. it's Marky Mark, but one hand. Solid robot.
You know what, too? The Departed, John's all-time favorite film, would be really helped because there's a scene where Jack Nicholson, he busts open Leo's cast, and if he opened it up and was like, this prick's got a robot on.
Yeah. See? Yeah. Immediately made better.
Movie over. Go on.
Number 2, a priest's favorite film, 7, but Morgan Freeman. Instead of a robot arm, he's entirely a robot. Morgan Freeman is Sonny in 7. And surprisingly, the most human person in that film is
how would that make it better?
Spacey. Because then he's going to be able to run fast enough to catch.
You know what would actually be better is that, so in that movie, another movie I fucking adore, he's like, in that scene when they're shaving their chest in the mirror.
Yeah.
And Morgan Freeman says he was like, I want you to be prepared for anything. I mean, what if it turned out he was a robot?
Yeah.
Be prepared for it. Yeah.
Bam,
Kevin Spacey
face melts
was a robot.
off and it's a full robot.
Yeah.
Well, I think it'd be too predictable if you make Kevin Spacey the robot. And that's why I think maybe Gwyneth Paltrow should have a robot head.
Yeah, but then she could never get her head kind of...
There you go.
Yeah.
Now it's a romantic family film.
Can't believe you'd spoil 7 for all these poor people. Yeah.
It's about the dwarves. JK. It's death. Number 1 on what movie would be vastly improved if the lead cop had a robotic arm.
AKA not all movies about cops, but that's okay.
Shush, they can be detectives.
There's at least 12 cop films and you've only picked 3.
I picked the gruesome ones. And the most gruesome of all, Franny McDormand in 3 Billboards outside Ebbing, Missouri, but with a bionic arm. Game changer. And that's it. That caps off the top 5.
All the top 5s are special, but that one was the least special.
I told you it's going to be very special. All right, haters. This is why I want the robot to take you out. Sonny, get his ass. Meet more.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
A robot. We've actually talked for way longer than I thought we ever could about this film.
Yeah, I hope we delete most of it.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for listening, gang.
Thank you for listening. Go check out iRobot. It's really not that bad.
It's really not that bad.
Yeah, it's okay. Will's good. If you want to remember Will pre-slap, it's a good movie to revisit. Although there are better ones, and we're going to talk about one in a couple weeks.
It's going to come up.
It's our usual warning, watch out for social networks that are okay with genocide happening and being organized on their platforms, because they're dangerous because of the genocide.
I don't know if we talked about it once, but
yeah. I love every one of you.
Bye.
Bye.